Welcome to the Business Reignitor series, episode 1. I get asked quite a lot from business owners for ideas of how to grow their business. In this series, I look at the different types of business that we're interested in partnering with to talk through what I do with each business to help it grow and dominate its local market. During my career, I've grown multiple businesses into multi-million pound, 7 and 8 figure revenue businesses across multiple industries, and this is the same process I use with those. During this series, I'll pick a random company off the internet and I do a deep dive into what I'd do with that company if I owned it or if I was running it myself. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a construction business. So let's get into it. So in this video, we're looking at a company called Furey Limited, based in Birmingham in the UK. Now, I don't know the company. I don't know anyone in it. I've never come into contact with this business before, and they aren't paying me to promote their business. So I'm basing all my growth suggestions or on assumptions, all based on what I can see on their website and other places on the internet. Now, obviously, if I was actually inside this business, I'd probably choose a few additional strategies than what I'll talk about in this video. But these are just pieces of inspiration that come to me when I'm on the inside. I can't do that looking as I am now. None of what I talk about is meant to be derogatory in any way, and it's not intention to cause any kind of damage to the business. If you're a client of this business, please don't let my suggestions determine whether you decide to work with them or not. And if it's relevant, please do your own due diligence on the business. Likewise, nothing in this video is an endorsement of the business either. So if you're interested in working with this company, the web address is on the screen. You can reach them through that, and I'm sure they'll appreciate the extra web traffic as well. One thing I've noticed from coming into contact with hundreds of businesses over the years is that most share the same issues and reasons why they just seem a bit stagnant in the growth. Now, I'm not saying this business shares those issues or that they're stagnant in their growth. I've not seen their financial accounts, so I don't know whether there is or not. But what I've found, when a business is stagnant or is struggling to grow, it's because that they need what I call a bit of a reignition. Most of the time, it's not even a lot that needs doing within the business. It's normally just small tweaks or changes, and then it just takes off. But with every business, we have to start with where the business is right now. I'm not talking about their physical location, although that comes into it. I'm talking about every part of the business. Without doing this step, it's like having a map and saying you want to go to, let's say, Disneyland, Florida, but not knowing where you're at on that map. How can your sat nav give you the directions of how to get there if it doesn't know where you're starting from? Now, there's lots to go into with understanding where the business is, which for this business, we don't have access to a lot of information that we'd need to do at this stage in the process properly. We really need to be inside the business to do that. So we'll focus on what we know about them based on the information that's on the internet. So what do they do? Who do they do it for? How big is the business? What assets does it have? How many staff? And does it employ a management team, or is it reliant on the owners? But everything starts with a customer. You'll see what I mean by this as we move through it. When they know who the business is working for, the type of client and the sector, we need to understand what that client is buying during that journey to solving the problem. It's not just about what the client buys from them, it's about everything they buy from every other company in that chain. So we can see these businesses as listed a number of projects and clients. They seem to work for large construction and infrastructure companies, Alpha BT, Skanska, Morgan Sindall, all huge companies. And the types of end clients seem to be commercial, educational, or government sector clients. So we want to imagine, how can we maximize what this group of clients or end clients spends with the business? So with this business, the products and services it provides seem to be mainly groundworks and civil engineering based. They do excavation work, highway construction, and drainage. Now, if I were growing this business, I'd look at adding 5 new product offerings to the business. They'd be looking at how we could do renewable energy projects and putting in that infrastructure that's needed to do those projects. I'd look at adding demolition services. I'd see if we could add crane services. I'd include waste removal for the sites. And I'd look at adding steelwork erection to the offerings as well. I wouldn't do all of these at the same time. I'd bring each one in over time, probably taking 3 to 6 months on each one, launching it, testing it, optimizing it, with the end goal of operating it almost like a standalone business within its or with its own group of staff. Obviously, that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But I start with what I'd call test bed customers. These are customers that are happy to be guinea pigs for the new offerings. And maybe they get the offering at a big discount, but what you use these customers for is to refine the product offering and iron out any delivery issues before you start to scale it. So you can scale it out to the rest of your customers then. After I know the process is working, I then dedicate someone to sell this new offering to the company's existing customers. I'd run campaigns in the business to push the new offering out in bulk. What this does is, by running a campaign, you know exactly how much capacity you have right now, and you want to try and sell that capacity as fast as possible. One thing I see over and over again, though, when a business creates a new product or service offering, they create something that their existing customers won't have a need for, or they aren't already buying it. And this means that they have to go and find a new set of customers to sell it to. I think it's caused because perhaps they look at what their competitors are doing. Maybe the competitor provides a service that their business doesn't. And so they automatically just create that product offering, but they don't have anyone to sell it to. So they have to start targeting new customers, which costs money. It eats up all your cash flow. It reduces your profit margins, and it ends up taking much longer before you reach the same end result. It's much more profitable and faster, so you can see those results faster if you focus on selling more to your existing customers. The next thing I'd do with this business is I'd look at expanding into a new geographic area. This business is based in the West Midlands just now, so I'd look at the northwest of England or the southwest region. I'd look at creating a commercial property development business, and I noticed they have a residential home building business, but I'd look at the commercial projects too, because they're doing these every day, so they have the skills and the resources already. This would mean that they could earn high profits as well. And the third option I'd look at is bidding direct to the end customer for projects. Rather than being reliant on just the large infrastructure clients, maybe look at taking on the whole contract themselves, but probably at a smaller scale. Whereas the whole contract value might be £100 million for the projects that they do now, they could take on projects that were too small for these big corporate companies to take on. Let's say they're £5 million projects each. And I'd set up a new business to do that through. I'd also look at adding partnerships to the business. First, I'd look at collaborating with other businesses so they could take on those smaller projects directly. I'd look at buying or merging with a complementary business in one of those other locations that we spoke about already. And that would give access to other contracts in those locations as well. And finally, I'd create a partnership with an investor partner to fund those new commercial developments that they were doing directly. Obviously, doing each of these activities or strategies will need a level of investment to bring it to life. Now, that might just be a time investment, but others might need a significant financial investment. And from that investment, you'd expect to see a return on each activity. So we want to prioritize each of these strategies or activities according to a few criteria. How much investment is needed? What are the expected returns? How fast will we see those returns? And how much cash flow or further investment will each need in the future or to operate within the business? And the next question is, how much should the business invest into these growth projects? And obviously, we don't know the numbers inside this business, so it really depends on the business numbers and what their growth projections are. But as a rule of thumb, I'd look to invest around 15 to 20% of the projected revenue for next year. So let's say the business has 2 million revenue now and wants to reach 2.5 million revenue next year. Then the investment budget of between 375,000 to 500,000 is about right for that. So we've created a number of strategies to focus on growing this business. Now, the problem that I see with most businesses that try to do these strategies is they'll go off and start trying to do it all themselves. The problem with doing that is it becomes a distraction to your existing core business. In the various businesses I've been involved with myself doing this, it was me and maybe a small group of people that focused on doing this growth plan, while the rest of the business continued to be run by people that were dedicated to that. You have to really think about these growth projects or activities like you're creating a special task force. And that special task force is going to create that new thing, whatever that thing is. To give you an example, if you think about Apple, now Apple have shops and they have people looking after the manufacturing of those products. But they also have a completely separate group of people that focus solely on designing and creating new products. That team of people don't do anything else. They don't get involved in fixing people's faulty phones. They don't build iPads. They don't work in the shop selling things. They work on designing and creating new products. Some of those products won't even be available to buy for the next 5 years. So that's how every business should think about it. Apple might be a big business now, but it was the same when they first got started. They always had one group of people that would be building the computers, but then they'd have a small group of people that was creating the next product. And this is what we do. We're like that special task force in a business. The final question is, how does this business go about doing these strategies? Now, we use a lot of different frameworks and tools that we've created over the last 30 years of doing this in our own businesses. A lot of these frameworks and tools are available through our websites or through courses, books, and videos that we've created. But the intention of doing these videos is to attract suitable partners to us, where if you're aligned with what we're doing and we want to go where we want to go ourselves, then we'll work with you and we'll do this process with you as a joint venture. So if that sounds interesting, the first place to go is our website. I'll leave a link in the description and you can reach us there. If you haven't seen my latest books, I'd highly recommend you read these, the Momentum Framework and my most recent book, Sustainable Community, where I go much deeper into using these strategies. I'll leave a link in the description for those as well. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some value from the video and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.